Just want a couple of bits of orange on here. Gives that really lovely fresh flavour. And the last thing is that dollop of whipped cream. I've kept it quite soft, so I'm not going to quenelle it or anything like that. I'm just going to dollop that on there like that. And I don't know about you, but I'd eat it. Over here, I've got half a cup of caster sugar, butter, zest of an orange. And what I'm wanting this to happen here is I want it to be sort of pale and fluffy. We're not quite there yet. We all dissolved? Boiling yet?
Not boiling yet.
No, okay. Actually, do you want to do another job?
Sure.
We need some oranges to eat with this. So I want you to peel these oranges with a sharp knife, which I'm sure you know how to do, like so there's no pith. And then we're going to slice them that way so that you've got this nice sort of sunburst. See how that colour's changed? It's getting really pale. Yeah, which is what you want. So now we're ready for eggs. Okay, so I'm going to put 2 eggs in here. We're going to beat it really well after each one, and I'm also going to give it a scrape down. So. And that's 1. And that's 2. Yeah, I mean, if you looked at this now, you think, oh, this is curdled. You want to come and have a look? Come and have a look. I'm actually going to stir in the next ingredients. I'm not going to...
Yeah, it's just kind of has that
See how it's actually... Yeah, I'm not actually worried. If that was the end of the dish, I'd be very worried. I'd be very, very worried. Yeah. You're taking all this in, aren't you, Bess?
I am.
Yeah.
Very, very
Good. Now, what I want is 3 tablespoons of orange juice, which is about that much. So, see what I'm doing? This is supposed to be an orange cake, so every way I can get some flavour in here, I'm putting it in there. How long has that syrup been going for?
About 3 or 4 minutes.
She's a doctor, she's on it. She knows about things like this, don't you, Verena? Yeah, good. So, orange juice, a cup of almonds, and a cup of semolina. This doesn't have flour, it has semolina in it. There's not a lot of taste difference, but what it does, it sort of gives you a drier mix so that when it comes time to put the syrup on, it's easy for the cake to suck up the syrup, which is what you want. So it's a cup of semolina, and I've got ground almonds, a teaspoon of baking powder. And I'm just going to mix. It's quite a thick mix. Just stir that all together.
Maybe would you like more oranges?
No, I think that's heaps. That's great. Thank you very much, Verena. How's that syrup? Is that done?
That's good. I've turned it
That's done. So this woman has basically done half my work for me. I'm extremely pleased. Thank you. You want to? Yeah, have a sit down. So quite a thick mix. But if you look at it, I mean, can you see that? It's got little holes all through it. You know, it's quite an airy little mix there because you've got those beaten eggs and the fluffed up butter. And I'll just push that out a little bit. I don't have to get too hysterical about getting it even or anything. So that just goes straight in the oven. Takes about 30, 40 minutes to cook. A semifreddo just means half cold in Italian. It's actually frozen. So, yeah, I mean, you need to give yourself 5 hours for this thing to freeze. But you can make it the day before. But the thing about a semifreddo is it's not like the 2 litre of ice cream that you go and buy from the supermarket that you keep in the fridge for a month. I make this from raw eggs, basically beaten up, whipped cream, and some flavourings. And then you freeze it all together. You don't have to stir it, you don't have to churn it, you don't have to do anything. All you got to do is freeze it. This is what I want to do. I want 3 eggs separated. So let's do that. Now, I just dropped a great big bit of eggshell in there. And it's often a good idea to get it out with a piece of eggshell. Works really well. You can do all sorts of flavours of these things. I'm obviously doing a lemon one, and I really want to intensify the lemon flavour. So I'm going to use some lemon zest. I'm going to leave it in quite large pieces so that when I'm eating this, my eating of the semifreddo is going to be punctuated by these little bites of lemon zest. So I get this really little strong lemon bomb in my mouth every so often. And half a cup of caster sugar, and we're back to the electric mixer. And I really have to beat this rather well. And again, what I'm after is I want that to increase in bulk, which will mean that by that time the sugar starts to dissolve. And also, I want it to go very pale. I want to change the colour of it.
Was it the yolks and the sugar?
That's the yolks and the sugar. The whites are over here. Yeah. That's that mixture done. I'm going to put that mixture to one side. I'm going to whip the cream I'm gonna whip the egg whites last because they're the most fragile. So this is stage 2 of the semifreddo. I've whipped the egg yolks and sugar and zest together. Now I'm gonna whip the cream. Don't let me forget to put the limoncello in it, which is gonna be the absolute sort of lemon burst that this is gonna have. Actually, Nikki, why don't you race up and do that for me? Put a quarter of a cup of limoncello into the egg yolk mixture. We're going to do some folding, so I'm going to use a metal spoon for doing that. Anyone know why I'd use a metal spoon for folding?
The air.
The air. Now, if you go and use a nice big thick spoon, you're going to squash it all out. So you use a metal spoon because it cuts through it. Means that you can pull the bottom to the top all the time. Thank you. 1.5 cups of cream is the next stage. I'm going to whip that. All right, Nikki?
Yep. So
okay.
that's all done?
Your work is done here.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Pleasure.
We're going to waste that. You do this in a restaurant, you know, there's, you know, like an eighth of a portion in there. Yeah, no, we don't waste food. Yeah. Right, so I'm whipping cream. Don't take your eyes off it, you know? And I reckon this is a very fast machine. I reckon that is ready. So that's the cream part of things done. I've got the egg yolk mixture with the limoncello that Nikki's just put in there. I've got the whipped cream there. Now I'm going to do the egg whites. So it's a 3-operation dish. Right, now egg whites. I'm going to beat these until they're stiff. I don't want them dry, because what's going to happen if I beat them so much that they're dried? Yeah, they sort of split, they go all crumbly and mealy. They're not nice. So I want it stiff, but I don't want it dry. While that's happening, I'm going to put the whipped cream into the egg yolk mixture. So, I just put the whipped cream into the egg yolk mixture. Now I'm going to put the beaten egg whites into that mixture as well. So I've got this mixture, which is sort of 3 things, basically, full of air, which means that you don't have to stir this. The air's already in it while it freezes. So, fold this in. So what I'm doing is I'm pulling the bottom to the top each time, just letting it go on top. I'd rather that I found out later there was maybe a little bit of egg white I hadn't mixed in than over-mix it. Okay? I don't know about you, but I want to taste it. Hang on. Step right up, ladies.
Never ask.
What do you think? And should we put a bit more of this in? I think we might. Because alcohol does something else to this. Do you know what it does? Come on, you're a doctor, you must have done science.
Well, it would affect the freezing.
It'll affect the freezing.
So
It'll keep it soft, yeah. What do you think? It's good, eh? I mean, you could just like bury your face in it and eat the whole lot.
If you added other flavours, when would you put them in?
You'd put them in, probably stir them into the egg yolk mixture. Hey, Simon.
How you guys going?
I think you should just taste this before we freeze it. This is our semifreddo mix. It's damn good, I reckon.
Oh, yeah.
It's all
Can I have a
right,
bowl? Oh, that is so good.
All you do now is tip it into a metal container, freeze it. That's it. That's a semifreddo. Dead easy. And you can make it the day before if you want to, which is good. That just goes in the freezer. Oh, yes. Here we go. Yep. Clean as the proverbial. That's what we want. And, yeah, let it cool down. Just lift it off. Oh, this isn't, oh, by the way, a towering gâteau or anything like, you know, those big American 50-layer jobs. This is more like a Middle Eastern cake, okay? So the thing I'm going to do now is put the syrup on that Verena made. And you've got to give it time to soak it up. And see how that goes straight in? That's the texture of the cake that's doing that. And it's probably that semolina which keeps it sort of aerated. But I was always staggered with the amount of syrup these things would actually soak up, but they will soak up a lot. And you want it to really, you know, as much syrup as you can get in there. I don't mind these bits of orange on top. You know why? Looks like orange. I always think it's great to know what you're eating here, you know. And we'll just tip the rest on. And basically, just baste it. You'd leave it sitting on your counter at home, and every so often you'd walk past, give it a good basting, you know? And after a while, most of this would be absorbed by the cake. Oh, I know what I was going to tell you guys. I learnt years ago, I worked with an English chef, old school English chef. He was really good. He knew all the old recipes, and he taught me this thing about how you make a sponge, and you don't need a recipe. It's dead easy. It's an imperial because it's real old school, so you've got to convert it to grams. But if you use 4 eggs, you use 4 ounces of caster sugar, and you use 4 ounces of flour. Doesn't have butter, plus whatever flavorings like vanilla. I'll put coconut through it. You know, it's a good one to have, I'd say, for a challenge or whatever, because you don't need a recipe. Come on, it's easy.
It's really good.
Beat the eggs and the sugar until they just absolutely just about jumping out of the bowl, you know, white, fluffy, bulky. It's what you want. You want to get as much air in there as you can. Sift the flour and then gently tip it in, and then you cut it in with a metal spoon, fold it, and you can pour that onto a flat tray with baking paper, and at 200 degrees, it'll only be like this, it'll only be this thick.
Yeah.
It'll cook in 10 minutes.
Really?
Yep. And you've got something you can roll up, you can cut it into shapes, you can stack it, but you've got this lovely, fresh tasting sponge cake. Just put this over here out of the way for a while I whip some more cream. The other thing that's really good with this is Greek yogurt. You know, like a really thick, rich Greek yogurt. Goes slightly tart, goes really well with the citrus. What's rule 1 about whipping cream?
Never leave it.
Don't take your eyes off it. Whoa, we just caught that in time. Whipped cream goes in the fridge until we need it. And I'm not going to sweeten the cream. I'm not going to do anything. There's enough flavour going on in the cake and the semifreddo. I don't need to add anything to the cream. Start looking at this baby first. And I can feel that cake. It's nice and wet all the way through. So, see the colour of it? It's a beautiful colour. But you'll easily feed 8 people with a cake like this. Here's our semifreddo, which I'm hoping is going to scoop like a dream. Look at that. No ice cream machine, nothing. It's just the most brilliant thing. It means you can have ice cream that works and you don't have to stir it as it freezes and all that drama. Scoop of that. They melt quite quickly, so put it straight back in the freezer. Just want a couple of bits of orange on here. Gives that really lovely fresh flavour. The last thing is that dollop of whipped cream. I've kept it quite soft, so I'm not going to quenelle it or anything like that. I'm just going to dollop that on here like that. And I don't know about you, but I'd eat it. I really like things like this.